We are defined by what we do. This week, on my weekly coaching call, so if I haven't said that before, I do a weekly coaching call with my mentor, my coach, on Wednesday evenings, or during the time differences, late night. It's with a group of people, amazing people who are grateful for what they have in life, but they don't settle for it, like I don't. And this week was a bit different. It has been 2 weeks since the last call. Not because I missed it, but because simply our coach, he was traveling. And due to the travels, he wasn't able to make the call. And it was just nothing we had to discuss. It was normal. We knew he had the travel and it's fine. We're going to be back next week. But there was still something different. So he was sharing that things change in his life. That he had committed previously to a box fight, which he will now follow through with. That he will stop boxing because it doesn't serve him anymore. He has pain in his shoulder, and from his point of view, he only sticked on the boxing because he committed to the fight, because that's what was holding him back on quitting it earlier. He also shared that a new podcast, which he has launched a couple of months ago, he will stop doing, going back to his old one, which he has stopped, to move on to something different in his point of view back then. This brings me to something in our life, in my life in particular. Where have I stopped doing something out of joy, but doing it for the wrong reasons? As you may have listened to a previous episode, I've run a marathon. I have run the distance of a marathon in 2 half marathons, beating 2 hours in my last half marathon. And that's what I've done for the right reasons. I've done it because I enjoy running. I enjoy the time for myself. I enjoy being able to just listen to anything, an audiobook, a podcast, anything while being outside and on my own. Don't have any distraction, don't have any chatter. Just being to my own thoughts. While on the other hand, I do like the competition. I do like to work out with others. I do like team sports. And that's something I've stopped. Something I want to go back at. And that's where I need to find a way around to combine them together. To work out together with friends. Maybe play tennis, because it's quicker than 18 holes of golf, which I enjoy a lot. And that's the things I have to bring back. That's what I have been missing. But did I stop it for the wrong reasons? No, probably not. But that made me realize, not having it, that I need to get back onto. I need to bring it back, because the competition, well, it's not the competition, it's the team sports I like to do together, actually without, well, I like to win, but it doesn't matter that much to me than it used to be. And if I start something and I don't feel that way, I'm going to pivot again and do something else. But from the running perspective, I always need that goal in mind, that race, the event, that big thing forward, that I know I have to stick to the certain runs I have mapped out, which I will map out weeks in advance, maybe even 20 weeks in advance, depending on the race I'm gonna practice for or prepare for. And that's what I need to actually follow through to the run when I don't feel like it, when it's easier to push myself out. That target, that goal, and that target will be my first marathon. I'm going to run a full marathon, which I just figured out the last days, will be having an insane altitude, not attitude, my attitude will be amazing, but the altitude of the run will be above 500 meters for the run, which is a high amount. And I will be running that the day before I turn 30. Instead of going out partying or having a headache because of all the alcohol I will be drinking, I'm going to run a full marathon, not a half. This time I have to get that into my mind. I'm going to run a full marathon. And I already started preparing for it. I've done a run and every exercise the next 7.5 months or so are going to be leading up to that specific event. And I think that's something we all need, regardless of where it is. If it's an exercise goal, a weight loss goal, a career goal, an income goal. We have to set that goal and then work towards it. But what I realized this week, or especially from the call on Wednesday, was that just because we committed to that goal, especially goals like 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead or even longer, just because we committed to that specific goal and keep doing the little steps to get closer to it, doesn't mean we have to keep that goal that way. So what do I mean by that? As I said in the beginning, we are defined by the things we do. Well, are we only defined by the things we do? I don't think so. We're also defined by the things we don't do. And most important, if we never do or stop doing anything, what will happen? We all know those bad habits we have. Snacking in the evening, binge eating after insane workout and just feel overwhelmed that we need all those nutrition and fuel back in our body, and we still don't stop them. So what does define us is doing what we do, but stopping what doesn't serve us anymore. So if you have a goal 5-10 years out and you have to pivot at some point, or you move your career, you go from, like I did, from an accounting role into an IT role, into an consulting role. Back in the day, I would have said, well, that's not going to serve me because I have to get back into the career move I had been in, to keep putting those building blocks on top of it, to accumulate more experience, to have more years in that role, to have more years in the career path, to be able to apply to those higher roles, to get into those higher roles. But I don't think that it's true. If we have an opportunity to move sideways, because it feels right, because it feels like something we want to maybe even test, experience, then it's something we should do for the right reasons, for our happiness, for doing it. Because if we haven't done it, and 20 years out we remember that opportunity, we're gonna regret that we haven't done it. We won't regret maybe the pay cut we have taken to test something out, but we will regret that we haven't tried it out, that we haven't tested it, that we are not able to judge if we would have enjoyed it, or if it would have brought us more happiness than the job we have stayed in. So I'm not trying to convince you to leave your job. I'm just trying to convince you to be open to opportunities around you, to things. It's not purely meant for your job, but anything in your life. Opportunities you have kept saying no to, or things you have kept saying yes to. We are fearful of things we shouldn't be. There's no reason for it. And what I just heard, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. And that's pretty much true. Fear is in our mind. I've been speaking on that before. Fear is supposed to help us. But does it really? In today's world, there are very few things which we have to be fearful for, which can really hurt us, which can really have an impact on our life in a negative sense. There's so many things, countless things we're fearful of, which are only bringing opportunities for growth, positive impacts into our life. We just don't see, because we keep bringing up those negative things which could happen potentially. But there's so much positive to almost anything. To do the things for the right reasons, and the things which don't serve you, simply don't do them. Simply don't do them. Why would you? Perhaps because someone outside of you, friends, family, pushed you doing it, keep talking you in that you always enjoyed it. But if you don't feel like it, stop it for a while. Don't do it for a while. And if it's something you have really enjoyed, and you still enjoy, you will miss it. You know you have to bring it back into your life. But if you don't, it was something you just have done to tick off a box, because it has been a routine and habit. Something you have done on a Sunday maybe, or any other day of the week for that matter. So test your habits, test your routines, test your life, pull out things, push in new things, and see what you enjoy most. But don't just stick to things you have done the last 20 years, because I've always done them. You need to know what you enjoy. You need to know what is not serving you anymore. Stop them and bring them back in, if you still enjoy them. If not, that's why you do that for. That's something you owe yourself. Something we all owe ourselves. Something I have to become better at. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to my first podcast, Simply Don't, and I'm your host, Max Röck. Thank you, and until next time.